Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this segment, Family by God's Design. Just like to bring you a couple thoughts tonight from the scripture that I was spending time with this week. And first couple thoughts revolve around right beliefs. And so there's three things that motivate and form a Christian's belief system. And the first one is this. Ken talks about orthodoxy, which is right beliefs, why we believe what we believe, how that flows and how it's motivated, and how that stems usually from the presence of the Lord. And it flows out from there when we become believers in Jesus Christ. And so orthodoxy is right beliefs. And then there's orthopraxy, and that is right living. What motivates us to do the things that we do usually flows out of right beliefs or our orthodoxy. And so there is a third thing that motivates and is in the Christian formation, and that is what's called orthopathy. And that is right feeling or right affection, the way that we feel. But the thing is, if these three things are out of order or out of sync, we can get all kinds of stir crazy. And so that's why the three have to always work with each other. Right beliefs are what's formed initially, and then that's what motivates us to do the things that we do, which is our orthopraxy, right living. And all of that comes from and stems from the way that we feel, or orthopathy, the way that we feel, and what begins to stir us up and become motivated. I want to read to you from Scripture. I'm going to show you this right in Scripture. Luke chapter 10, 38 to 42 says this. As Jesus and the disciples continued on their journey, they came to a village where a woman welcomed Jesus into her home. Her name was Martha, and she had a sister named Mary. Mary sat down attentively before the Master, absorbing every revelation he shared. But Martha became exacerbated with finishing the numerous household chores in preparation for her guests. So she interrupted Jesus and said, "Lord, don't you think it's unfair that my sister has left me to do all of the work? You should tell her to get up and help me." The Lord answered her, "Martha, my beloved Martha, why are you upset and troubled, pulled away by all of these many distractions? Mary has discovered the one thing most important by choosing to sit at my feet. She is undistracted, and I won't take this privilege from her." So there is that place where, and this is why I want to associate this with the Family by God's Design. It is important as we're raising our children. It is important in the family unit, not just in the family unit that is mother, father, children, but even within the realm of the church. It is important when we're talking about calling. It is important when we're talking about what motivates us, that we find that beginning point. When we talk about Deuteronomy 6, there is that place in the presence of Jesus sitting at his feet. The Master says in Luke, it goes on to say that Mary has chosen the better thing. There is the place initially where those things, orthodoxy, become formed in us. And that is what motivates us to do what we are called to do. Martha she was called in this instance to serve, and she has a servant's heart, and she begins to prepare the meal. She begins to prepare for the guests. She is working and functioning out of what she is called to do. Don't get me wrong, both are needed, and this is where we see deconstruction of faith happens too often, and we trade in the spirituality of Mary for the new spirituality of Martha. But these are sisters, listen, both sisters serving the same Jesus. Each played her own unique role in the dinner party. It's important to remember that. Mary, sitting at the feet of Jesus, having her spiritual formations being formed. And then there's Martha, who is working out her orthopraxy, serving the guests and attending to Jesus and attending to the meal. Both are functioning, but if those two things are not married together, we'll begin to have, like we see here, Martha having hurt feelings. We'll begin to see, if they're not married together or functioning in tandem, we'll begin to see things out of whack. I'm going to read to you a quick story here in ending. And when I read this story, I want you to see that whenever we are perpetually given to an action, I just read about that in the scripture. Let's say hate, as you hear my story. Whenever we're perpetually given to hate, we actually become hateful, or we actually become that action. It was in 2015 that the Public Policy Polling Institute, say that 5 times, surveyed 532 voters if they would support the bombing of the city of Agrabah. While 54% said that they were unsure what should be done, a sizable 30% said that they should support the bombing of the city. What's the problem with this? It would prove challenging to take military action against Agrabah, given it is a fictional city depicted in the Disney's movie Aladdin. The lesson here is simply terrifying. 30% of those polled were not interested in bombing an actual city that posed a threat. Rather, they wanted to destroy a fictional city because it sounded like a Muslim city. Over time, we become our actions. This is why it's important that we have those 3 things. When we're training our children, when we're working and functioning within the church, we can't function simply out of orthopathy. What we're feeling, we'll begin to run to response. We'll begin to run to reaction. I see this all the time in young believers who don't have their faith formed sitting at the feet of Jesus, where they haven't served like Mary has for any length of time, whether it's in the church or in ministry or in any kind of serving capacity, where they're beginning to work out their faith. We simply work from a place of orthopathy, which is whatever we're feeling in the moment, whatever social injustice causes and is stirring our hearts. We begin to form things out of that, which causes God to be absent in sometimes what it is that we're doing. It is so important that we have the 3 working together, from orthodoxy, sitting at the feet of Jesus, working out our belief system, to orthopraxy, spending time ministering, spending time serving, spending time working out that orthodoxy, that when we are motivated in that place of orthopathy, we begin to serve from a place where God is present in the very middle of what's going on. I'll share those thoughts with you. Bless you.